Hello, and welcome to Rule the Waves 3, playing as Japan on Super Large Plus Plus, starting in 1890 and playing until 1970. That's the plan. We have reached January 1895. This is episode 11, and we are at peace after concluding a war with China. So we'll start with the 1895 start of year review, then we'll do another analysis of the 5-year period 1890 through 94 before finally playing some turns in 1895. So let's jump in. PowerPoint time. So first, the regular end of year, or should I say start of year analysis, where we go through the events of the past year. So, tensions and politics. We are finally at peace. It coincided with the end of the year or start of the new year. A peace that saw us claim every single Chinese holding that's not core territory. All the eastern holdings from Liaotong down to Formosa we claimed through conquest. We invaded them and took them. Then we had a peace where we had 12 points to spend. Now, normally I would go for all 12 points into war reparations, because that would give us a tremendous early game boost. But I wanted Hainan as a springboard for further expansions into French Indochina. And I also wanted to block Great Britain from claiming any holdings, because basically if I hadn't taken both remaining holdings, spending my 6 points, Great Britain would have taken whatever was left, because we were allied both at war with China. Not that Great Britain did much. Well, actually they helped a lot with that blockade, but they lost very many battleships, if you remember. Against only corvettes. That was hilarious. Anyway, and it also gives me a better basing rating in Southeast Asia. I think it's 120 now. So that is actually acceptable. So Formosa, Hainan, and that small territory next to Hainan on the mainland, together that gives me a decent springboard for further operations in Southeast Asia. Our alliance is still ongoing. It happened in sort of September or something like that in 1890. So it will actually expire this year. I'm very excited to see if Great Britain will extend it or not. It's kind of important. It's not the end all be all, but it's definitely important for how the game progresses. New colonies, yeah, the rest of China. And you can see from the tensions here, China is a little bit upset with us. I wonder why. And they're also a little bit upset with France for some reason. Other than that, all tensions are at 0 through 3, which is very, very low. Much lower than when the game started. In general, we have a 10,000 ton dock. We are building more. It will soon expand. I wonder if it will maybe bump up to 12,000. I don't think so. I think it's too early, so I think it will only increase by 1,000. Local shipbuilding requirements, 25%. We try to do that, and we just basically want to build at home as much as possible. We've finished some 4-inch forts, and I started building 4-inch forts in all remaining territories. And unrest dropped to 1 after the peace settlement. Budget. Yeah, our budget is shot to shit or hell or whatever, but the underlying base resources has gone up. Good question. But have gone up by 1,503. That's way more than the 250-ish that we've been getting previously. And that's the 6 war reparation points. So you can imagine this is yearly growth plus war reparation. So this would likely be well over 2,000 if we hadn't taken those colonies. Colonies increased from 31 points to 39. We have a total of 9 colonies now. The budget modifier took a very steep dive. A full 10 points, so that's pretty rough. And of course, despite more colonies and base resources, that's nearly a halving of the budget, so it plunged pretty badly. But I don't think we should be too concerned about that. It's these figures up here, the underlying economy, that's the important part. Funds are up to what I consider a 2/3 the way to an acceptable level. I want to have at least 50,000 in the bank at this stage of the game. Fleet overview. 2 light cruisers, home built, 8,000 tons arrived. We are building 4 Bs. We started a new batch of 4 a different class of homegrown light cruisers. They have been halted due to budget issues, but yeah, we'll get there. We are still quite deficient in battleships. We need 4 more, even when these 4 clear the stocks. We need, if we have 4 plus 4 to what I consider full divisions, then we can sort of hold our own against any commerce, no matter how many battleships they have. Caveats do apply, of course, but yeah, 5 is better than the 1 crap one we have now, and 8 would be more than twice as good as having 4. Same kind of applies for CAs. Yeah, sure, having those 4 10,000 tonners, that's cool, but I would call it a start. They are not as tanky as we'd like, and yeah, it was the first build. But the good stuff is that only 2 of our new builds have compound armor. Only the 2 light cruisers of 6,000 tons. All the others have Harvey armor, because Great Britain quickly got Harvey armor. Now we have been profiting from that. I'm not saying that we have enough light cruisers for the long run, but we have enough light cruisers for now. The light cruisers, the legacy light cruisers after refit, they did tremendously well. I am very happy I did not bulge them. They didn't need more firepower, didn't need more protection. We almost lost a couple, but they always pulled through. So we only lost that 1 heavy cruiser. And that probably would have lived if it had been bulged, but then it would have been slower, and yeah. See where this is going. So I'm happy with my refits. China's fleet is gone. This is just, I don't know, nothing. And if you compare this, you see that they only have 4 building, no battleship building. So they have halted construction on some of these because, well, they had their budget halved as well, or greatly slashed, and they didn't get any war reparation. I can tell you that. This is Spain. Why do I bring up Spain? Because Spain may be on my to-do list. They have some colonies nearby that I would absolutely like to take. So, yeah. They have a lot of battleships, and they are building some small ones. That's not so stupid as you might think. That's a lot of blockade and a lot of firepower into a small, cheaply built platform. But they are extremely slow, so they will be outdated very, very fast. When I see a battleship in the 14, 15, 16, not range, and then you think about engines getting worn out, and I see targets. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Faster, heavily armed cruisers, easily running them down and just peppering them until they burn or sink. So nothing of this is concerning. And their heavy cruisers, very bad. Slow, small. Yeah, they have a bad economy. And their light cruisers, nothing here is very impressive. No. And the point here is that they will have big problems reaching Southeast Asia. They have to, at best, go from the Med to the Indian Ocean to Southeast Asia. Might also have to bring some ships from Northern Europe. That's one step further. If Great Britain gets upset with them, then they can't use the Panama Canal. Then they have to sail around Africa or America to reach the Pacific, and you can see where this is going. So if a war breaks out, we could invade the Philippines, and Guam is just 1 point, and the Marianas and the Caroline Islands are just 0 points each, so we can easily pick up those. If we really wanted to piss off the US, we could grab some territories in the Caribbean as well. A fun idea. We had an okay year in research, I think. We have improved shipbuilding steel for -1% in hull weight. We had improved AP for better penetration with armor piercing, and we're shooting a lot of armor piercing, as you know. That's a good thing. And we have 300-ton destroyers. Note we have an advantage here, so I guess it says low, but it's more like medium. I'm happy with my priorities for now. We will definitely tweak them at some point, but not right away. But overall, we dropped from behind to backward. I think we're the only backward nation. It's probably a combination of few techs and a lack of guns. And also the almanac is not always truthful. That's just an intelligence assessment. So China is behind, but we're backward. I don't think that's the case, but we have definitely not become more advanced. Germany is advanced. Great Britain is advanced. US will soon probably be advanced. And eventually all three will often be very advanced. So definitely need to keep an eye on those guys. Speaking of keeping an eye on intelligence, well, tensions are low, but our intel has improved finally with Russia as well. But now I have kicked it up to high on Germany. I'm risking low on Great Britain. And pushing US to medium just in anticipation of future, well, both conflict but also tech stealing opportunities. Yes, that was the end of the normal start of 1895 summary. Now we will have a sort of 5-year review. We will do one but more extensive once we come to the end of the decade. So, some quick facts. 5 years of the game have gone past. We started with 7,400 base resources. That's now up to 9,925, or 34% increase. I'm pretty sure not even the US has grown quite as much, because they haven't taken colonies or, well, not colonies, that's a separate thing, but haven't gotten any war reparations. And they don't grow much faster than us initially. So I think the first 5 years in terms of base resources, they have been good. I mean, it's probably technically possible to crush China earlier, like in 1892 or something, and get war reparations then, but maybe not a full 12 points, so maybe it evens out, I don't know. We are definitely a colonial power. We went from owning Hokkaido for 8 points at the start of the game, and now we have 9 territories, 3 in Southeast Asia, the rest in Northeast Asia. So those in Northeast Asia are sort of native, or whatever you want to call them. They are in your home area, so you don't have to patrol them or anything. The ones in the south need 11,000 tons on foreign station, but that's not a problem. We sent some corvettes to deal with that. budget modifier started at 18. That's just the starting value. It's always 18 when you start a new game. We are now down to 12. So only 2/3 of the starting value. It peaked at 22 during the war. We started with 36,800, but we are actually down to 131,300. A 4% reduction. But it peaked at 202,800, and it's the underlying economy here. It's what's important, I would say. If we had higher budget modifier, now we would be in the 240 range. So yeah, I'm just looking at my cheat sheet on the other monitor. So you can see that the underlying factor here is quite good. It's significant 1/3 increase in base resources, thousands of extra income from colonies. Actually, the increase is so big it's actually noticeable. It will matter less and less, but right now it actually matters. So fleet size has more than doubled. That's good, but it's still very small. We already covered that. Generally speaking, tensions are down overall. They started moderately low, but they are now very low. We had no alliances at game start, of course, but we got an alliance with Great Britain in 1890. That's still going on. Let's see if they want to extend it. We started with 0 wars fought. Now we have fought 1 war. Surprise, surprise. But what's more interesting is what can we sort of extrapolate from these developments. Yes, I already touched upon it. Economy is much, much stronger. We have our increased resources, especially from war reparations. We have the colonial empire. And I would say that our budget, they are now within shouting distance of the tier 2 powers. You can see Italy and the US are within shouting distance, and even Germany, France, and Russia, they are ahead. Yes, definitely ahead. I mean, it's not fully 50% more, but no longer double. Yeah, we're getting there. We also have established the beginnings of a combat effective fleet. It's still a very long way to go, but this is less horrible than it was at the start of the game. We're behind everyone except China, of course, but I could deal with Spain. I feel I could deal with some of the other guys as well. Tensions are too low, of course, so we can hope for increased tensions. But I wonder if budget modifier can actually drop below 12. I don't think I've ever seen it below 12, but that could be wishful thinking. But basically, you get hit by these events that reduce your budget modifier when you're not at war and tensions are low. But once your budget modifier has dropped considerably, don't think you'll see any of those events. So I think we may have bottomed out in budget modifier. I hope so, but we'll see. Yeah. So budget modifier and tensions, they go hand in hand. Plans going forward, the next 5-year plan. Well, we'll finish building the batch of 4Bs. We didn't quite finish those. Those were part of the previous 5-year plan, but they will be ready this year instead of last year. We'll build a second batch of Bs with armored secondary battery. We'll build a second batch of heavy cruisers, armored secondary battery. Maybe homegrown, maybe Great Britain. We'll have to see. I have no plans to build any destroyers below 500 tons, but this is not an absolute rule. If I feel that we should start doing it, I will, but not a huge fan of the tiny ones. They have bad characteristics overall, and yeah, no. Although I have built, in my France game, the previous game, I was ordered to build 20 destroyers when I only had 300 tonners, so I made them directly into minesweepers, and that actually kind of worked out. They weren't the most effective minesweepers, but they were okay in the early game. You also need to keep an eye on ship speeds. Certain technologies now will help increase ship speed, so maybe we can get an extra knot into our cruiser and light cruiser designs. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But we are not going to sacrifice enormous amounts of tonnage just for this part. So, other than building, yeah, we need more wars. We need a short, victorious war, aiming for war reparations, not territories. Territories are always a bonus, or taken for specific purposes, such as staging ground for future invasions, preventing another power from taking them. Oh my god, what did I do now? Oh, seizing Egypt and or the Panama Canal is always useful. If I play France, I will always try to get Norway, that sort of thing. But you don't need to mindlessly grab everything in sight. That's kind of costly to invade stuff, actually, and you have to fortify it, and yeah, after a while they contribute a very small percentage to your overall economy anyway, and then they might rebel and get invaded. So it looks not nice on the map to have a big empire, but it's actually in the long run not as beneficial as you might think. So only do it for concrete purposes. Aircraft basing is also, and ship basing, that's also legitimate reasons. So that's why I took those final Chinese possessions. And I don't have to fight another invasion war against China. So, yeah. If Spain doesn't want to fight, that they are my primary opponent, I would say. But they are unlikely to want to fight. They are often very timid. But I hope I can provoke them into a war soon. That would have been ideal, because they are still stronger than me, so maybe I can provoke them into fighting. Otherwise, once the game has progressed a little bit further, you will often see Spain in the turn report, where the tension is reduced because they feel you are so strong. And after that, it will become very difficult to drag them into something. It would require alliances going to war or getting very lucky with events, that sort of thing. So if we are to fight Spain, I would like to do it sooner rather than later. One positive there is that as long as they hold the Philippines, we will get a handful of those tension increases because we resent them holding the Philippines. France is another opponent, obviously much stronger in the fleet department. That would only do if the alliance with Great Britain is extended. This will likely close the Suez Canal, and they will also need to retain their fleet, some of their fleet, most of their fleet maybe, at home. Russia is similar to France in terms of fleet power and location, but they have it even worse. France could theoretically sail from the Med through Suez and be in Southeast Asia quickly, but Russia would have to go from the Baltic or the North Atlantic all the way around, either through the Med and Suez, or maybe even around Africa or Asia, and then all the way not only to Southeast Asia but to Northeast Asia. They have one advantage: they have a home area there, but yeah, it's a long journey. So in a few years, I feel that I could take on either. So if I could choose, I would choose an early war with Spain in this period, and a war with France or Russia later in the period or early next period. But this is rule the waves, so you cannot accurately predict any of this. These are just my thoughts on the subject. That's a lot of briefings. So let's jump in and play some 1895. Yeah, here we are. As much fun as those presentations are, and there are a lot of fun both to make and to present. It's also good to be back. Everything has the right status: mothball, foreign station, reserve. That's all good. We have halted construction, of course, until some of these battleship ships are ready. So we'll just increased intel, building, research is fine. Everything is basically fine. What's this now? My assign new commander. Average, below average. Cruiser division. They're all assigned. I guess we can have an average dude command this. It's fine. We have a... Yes, when you build in someone else's yard, you can get these insights. I think that directly applies a bunch of research points to this specific research field, subdivision and damage control. You don't get sort of a full tech, but you get points towards your research. Yay! Our first battleship is ready. Yay! Now, this is also an interesting event because a major arms firm wants to sell ships to South American country. This will be good for the arms industry, but risks leaking sensitive technology. I'm not entirely sure how that sensitive technology leak thing functions, if that makes it easier maybe for the enemy to steal techs with espionage. For Japan, I am not concerned at all. We are backward actually, so yeah. So budget would allow it. Now I will check a little thing. Okay, so our base resources went up by 300, but I don't think all of that is the event. I think that is also organic growth from... often there is growth in February. That's sort of the first calculating month of the year. You know, the game starts on January 1890, and then stuff can happen in February. It's the same here. So 300 minus whatever we got from the base growth. So around 200 from the event, I think, and 100 from base growth. The difference here isn't too big, but that's just because our budget modifier is still at 12. So this one will go into Battle Division 2. No surprises there. And it will have a commander. And he will be average. Would be above average. But a good administrator. No. Just take this guy. But then we need a admiral. Needs to be a rear admiral. Let's take this Sato guy. He's done good. Rear admiral Shaka. Random guy. Resume construction on that guy. Yeah. Works. Coastal batteries finishing. We have... No. Are improving dock size. No. And also look at them like this. Can be convenient to see where you have gaps instead of having to look at the map and clicking around. But if you can see a fort marker, then you either have a fort there or building a fort. So I feel that we deserve an event where we take North Korea and Sumatra and all the other territories here. No. Yeah. It's not much else to do than hit the turn button. New docks completed. Okay, so 400-ton destroyers are out of reach for now. And this is a good thing about having a low budget modifier. Military expenditures are at a reasonable level. That's debatable, but yeah. New docks complete. Some promotions. The Chinese are wasting money on gunnery training. Why there are 2 reports, I do not know. Pensions increase, not between me, but yeah. Not that much. Yeah, it only increased by 1,000. That's typical of this period. If you play later periods, that can increase by 2,000. Well, now we can resume construction on this guy, and we are above 40,000 for the first time, but oh no, we need to spend another 15 months building more docks. We want to have even better cruisers, remember, and we want to be able to build battleships at home eventually, so there is a lot to take in here. Light cruisers don't have commanders, that's okay. Game can assign them. Riga has finished working up. Napoli. This is nothing special. So our 8-inch belt, that's not so horrible actually. Unrest is reduced again. Nice. But it's still at 1 though. Commissioning. Italy has a budget balance of minus 10,000 something. If you go into negative monies, the game will not immediately fire you. It will eat off your prestige and stuff. Italy is researching 10%. Also doing gunnery training. No, tension with Russia increases. Tension changing. Early gyroscope. That I think is torpedo tech. Can we have naval academy, please? That's hidden in fleet tactics, so yeah, we'll get it eventually. I'm fairly content with my officers. Few below averages have started cropping up, but it did have a fairly good bunch start. Yeah. Not much else to say or do, so let's press on. Mutsu is commissioned. This is a damage control thing. Tension with Spain is reduced. That's not good. But China increases. That's fine. China can eternally stay in the yellow. That's just good for us. Division assigned to 2. We cannot scrap this. If I try to scrap it, we get this. You can scrap it, but then you lose prestige, or we can wait a while. We'll wait a while. That was just for demonstrations. Average is fine. One will go on to the reserve. These are almost done, so we can resume. Yay! Yay. We got one early in the game as well. That's always welcome. This is stock size. Unrest is down to 0 now, yes. China has financial issues. Some generic delays, those always happen. Commissionings, promotion, average ability, yeah. fine. Some tensions. Oh, wow, look at this. China, they don't like us controlling Hainan. They don't like us controlling Weihawei or Liaotong. And they just generally hate us. But they don't want to provoke us. So that's 4 up, 1 down. So +3 tension in just one. Wow. And this is, of course, excellent. Because now there is... we want to have a bad relationship with China. And if the opportunity comes to just beat them up again, even if they have no territories, a quick victorious war against China, milk them for more reparations, I would not be opposed to that. Some ships have, of course, they don't, because I'm an idiot. Division, assign commander, another average dude. Think we have any free commanders? We have this below average guy. It's not so interesting. Yeah. Okay, the government one was only 500 this time, but then we get a 1,000-tonner extra. This is starting to look like Christmas. The tome is commissioned. The steel industry wants a stronger navy. Budget and tension, but tension is super low. So and Spain has dropped to 0. So it doesn't look like we're going to war with Spain anytime soon. So budget 400-ton destroyers. Melanite, I think that's explosive shot. But nothing actually got research. I need to check. Give me a second. That event took our base resources up by another 100 or so. And additionally, our budget modifier has increased to 13, which explains the rather large jump here in budget. So that's comforting to know that we are not approaching the 200,000 level anytime soon, but we are absolutely getting there. Now we have a full division of 4 ships. We still can't scrap this bad boy. I think we need at least 4 more before we can do that. I think yeah, something like that. Depends on your fleet size and the game size, I think. So. Still working up all of them. But now we have to decide what to do. We are not building any more light cruisers. Light cruisers are fine. Our docks have tipped over 12,000, so we are now able to build fairly big cruisers at home. Our only problem here now is that we have pretty bad guns. So our 7-inch guns are pretty bad. Even our 8-inch guns are pretty bad. Yeah, we bought those of Great Britain, if I remember correctly, and I think we maybe stole these 11-inch guns of Germany. Not entirely sure about that. So we are mostly the same as Great Britain in terms of shipbuilding. We can see that they have water tube boilers, so that only applies to destroyers. They have improved cementing now, so armor is a little bit better. Hull construction, we have that one. This one doesn't apply to shipbuilding, it's sort of a national modifier. Ship design, improved design calculation. Okay, so we are going to save a few tons by building at their docks, but more importantly, I would say that they can give us proper 8-inch guns. I think I will actually Yeah, I think I will build those next cruisers in Great Britain. I will now look at the design and we'll be back. This guy was an accelerated building, so I put it back. That sometimes happens when you halt and start and builds. I'm not sure why, but it's been a recurring thing in all my games since Rule the Waves 2, I think. You might want to keep an eye on that. Yeah, bad news or good news, depending on how you look at it, maybe both. There is no benefit to designing a new heavily armored class. I was envisioning them as sort of the lead ship of future divisions. But the only thing that will happen is that I lose a knot of speed. I tried to bring the base design up to 21 knots. That costs me 2,000 tons or so. Look at this, Great Britain. And if you want to go to 21 and stay reliable, that's 1,000 ton just there. And then if you want to do any meaningful armor, that's another, and it's simply not worth the effort. So the Furutakas are just too good. And the weight savings that Great Britain has are minimal. Improved cementing would be nice, but it's not the end all be all. So we are going to do the thing and actually build 2 additional Furutakas. That's not what I had envisioned, but it's what I'm doing. With unarmored guns and everything. It feels weird, but that's what we're going with. Tensions are dropping. Oh, maybe I overdid that a little. It's gonna start 1. This one keeps getting delayed. No, let's just keep going. Maybe our budget will improve. Finished Melanite. We already knew that. Yay, Naval Academy. Sea Doctrine. Malta is rebelling. That's just weird. That should be a no rebellion possession, I think. But it's of no concern of mine. Then we go to Doctrine and check Naval Academy. Modest cost, it depends on your fleet size, so... Yeah, it says that it will give us slightly better officers. What happened to my carefully selected ammo loadouts? It's just plain weird. Maybe I set the loadouts and forgot to hit save. No, then it asks you, so that's pretty weird. Now this is wrong as well. How did I manage to do that? Weird. Armor piercing, save changes. It's okay. Okay, yeah, it's fixed now. It's not aware. I'm not very often in the Doctrine. Image, light machinery for destroyers, Melanite, nice, now we're rolling. Let's bring these to reserve. Still in the red, and will be for half a year, so 6, yeah, we can do that, not a problem. Let's just keep going. Oh no. The government is concerned about tensions leading to war. You've been called to give advice. What do you recommend? And this is where probably the text formatting in the event file is screwed up. It's always been like that. You could do this and shoot yourself in the foot. You could do this, budget and tension. Or we could just try to negotiate an agreement with someone. Already have with Great Britain, so we could try for something with Spain or Italy, or no, we are not going to do that. We are going to spend more on the Navy. Obviously, we need to get that spending back up. Unrest has for some reason increased to 1. Was that this round? No. And earlier, yeah. Captain Matsushita appears to be past his prime. Okay. Sure what that means. That means he dropped from below average. Now from average to below average because he's been many years in his rank. So we can see this little tag here. That means you can promote him. You can promote 1 officer with that tag each month. And now he's out of the question because as a rear admiral he cannot command that ship. So now we have to find another one. Don't think we have very many good ones. This one is a torpedo expert, sure. This one is just a commander. Yeah, that took care of our budgets. Budget modifier increased considerably. Went up to 14. Looks like my base resources is up to 10,430. So we're slowly getting back on our feet. But we still have no good guns. We haven't gotten any gun trades. We haven't stolen anything. I mean, Italy probably has better guns than we do. Generally better tech than us overall. Let's do a little additional spying on Italy as well. Yes. New hawkish government wants to raise arms expenditure. What is your reaction? Yeah. Well, this one is terrible. It costs you prestige, does nothing for you. This one is usually the best one because it increases your budget, but doesn't increase tension too much. This one does the same as this one, but increases tensions even further. So it looks like if we push tensions up, we'll definitely have a war. But that would be a war with... I don't see China going to war with us again, so it would probably mean Russia, or odd man out would be Germany. Like we talked about before, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I think we'll just take this one. Push tensions up a little into the yellow. Ah, we get cementing. And we get telescopic sights. How good. Yeah. Russia there it reacts. Now we are in January, yeah, and 6 months to go before docks become even bigger. But those guns, can we have some nice guns, please? But as usual, gun research, that's just a huge black hole. I mean, high, low, seems to be heavily time gated. No one really knows. It's the most frustrating part of the entire research thing. We are only a couple of years or so away from crop armor, so still gonna focus on guns and crop armor until we get that. I'm pretty happy with the rest of the research settings here. Here I need to advance. That's fine. Intelligence, I think, is fine. The US is not medium yet. This one is not low yet. This one I just increased. Tensions are up a bit, but not too concerning. They have absolutely no forces in the east here. Let's look at the almanac. Ships. Everything is in the Baltic, and they have one battleship in, it says, in Northeast Asia. Sorting, unfortunately, doesn't really work here. So, Northeast Asia, one cruiser, one battleship, one light cruiser, and that's it, really. And some corvettes. But they are clearly in reserve or mothball. And if they want to sail through here, what's their relations with Great Britain? They are fine, so they could sail from Baltic, Northern Europe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It takes them 5 months to reach us. So that is that's not a problem. The budget is fine. Research is... I'm losing probably way too much money on intelligence. But yeah, we need guns. We absolutely need guns. Actually, this feels kind of weird. I'm using less on research than intelligence. But intelligence is just a flat sum per level per opponent, but research is a percentage of your fleet size. So since my fleet size is relatively small, my research cost isn't huge. I might even want to bump it to 12, but I think my base resources have advanced to a level where I'm comfortable with how things are at 10%. We are behind. Everyone's behind now, so don't take this with a grain of salt. You have to sort of click in, and then you have to accept that intelligence is not always accurate. But looking at the naval budget, I would say that we are now in a much better position. Spain and China have clearly fallen off that cliff. They have a penalty to growth in the early years, so they quickly fall behind. I have a big boost to growth. Germany has a small boost. US has a big boost. So I'm on level with Italy and the US. My fleet is way smaller, but our budgets are similar. And we are now very close behind Russia, France, and Germany, at least in percentage terms. In fleet size, we are, of course, way behind. But if we get into a fight with Russia, it's not so easy for them to come around the world and fight. They would have heavy attrition on the way. Their crew quality would be abysmal before they can reach us. And that even assumes it was any good to begin with. So, this is actually fine. But we've reached the end of the year, so, and the natural conclusion of this episode. And that concludes episode 11. It was an interesting one, a full year of peacetime with lots of stuff happening and some cool PowerPoint presentations. So thank you again for watching, and see you again in the next one.